I should probably add myself to the stream. Hey, everybody, this is B from Kongs R Us. Welcome to The Next Level. This is my weekly podcast show where we bring you next level things, guests, community members, projects, or just random topics that I'm interested in talking about because it became late in a Thursday afternoon/evening. And I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. And I remembered an experience I had just this past weekend, actually living out my dream as an arcade operator, but it's not exactly what you think it might seem. If you saw the thumbnail, you might have seen some damage on a particular arcade part that we might know. And I have a story about it. So I wanted to talk about the topic of our beloved Arcade1Ups, or any home arcade for that matter, and its longevity. Like, how long are these things going to last in our collections? I think this whole hobby, especially the boom of home arcades, really have only been around for the last 4 to 5 years. And I'm just curious, like, what people think, and let me know in chat if you have anything to contribute to the conversation. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So hello, everybody. Dan Z is here. The real Zim is here. Bob Sarge is here. Ralph Reed is here. Brooklyn Menace, Bill Wright, Biggie D's Arcade. Hello, Kitty Bots. Arcade1Ups are junk. That's a strong opinion, and you might be right in some aspects, but you might be wrong in some other things. Ricardo War 444 is here. Biggie D is saying the pro should hold up long term, or hope it does during their price. Oh yeah, we'll talk about price points as well as kind of how long they should be lasting. I actually jumped onto UAG stream yesterday, Your Average Gamer. For folks that don't follow him, definitely check him out. It was the weekly retro party, and we were talking about price points, and I was sharing the story about what happened when I went to go visit one of my favorite local breweries, and they happen to have Arcade1Ups there. And it's something that we might be seeing more and more common out there. There's over 1 million cabinets out there in the wild. So at some point, we're going to start seeing them in more places than just your home arcades. But I actually wanted to just quickly try out something. I just found a new feature in StreamYard. So it's background music. I'm gonna play some background music. You guys can let me know in chat if you guys can hear it, if it's too loud. I think I'm gonna try some background music in my stream. I've watched some fancy YouTubers like Justin Console Kits, and Moat always has music playing in his background. So I'm like, all right, there's some cool StreamYard music in the background now. So let me know, Fox, if this is too loud, and let me know, first person to guess the song that I'm playing that it's actually inspired by, I will send you something. Let me know if you know the jams. That's right. Yeah, you can hear it. All right. Let me know. This is one of my favorite jams. All right. Chris Levitt says, I bought MVC2 cabinets missing the G panel. Oh man, you haven't been able to put it together. I think the G panel is like the bottom panel, so that sucks. I hope you have a ticket in. We're going to talk about the ticketing system in a little bit. Okay, so longevity. So let's see. Jeff says, it looks like the baby cave next to your real pinball machines. Well, Jeff, you're lucky to have pinball machines. That's for sure. I do have a pinball machine, and my 1-ups do look tiny next to it. Hello, Quentin. Hello, Steven Swartzentruba. The last baby says Arcade1Ups will last forever. Forever, man. Louis P says my Ridge Racer shifter's broke, but Arcade1 sent you a new one. Their customer service has been getting better about sending replacement parts. So, all right, Toxin says PCs the last decades. If Arcade1Up boards are built right, they should last. You bring up a really, really great point. All right, so let's see. Bob again says, so far, so good lasting with 1-ups. This needs to be heavy metal so you can always strap while enjoying the stream. yeah, I was thinking about what song to play, and it's like kind of low-key mellow, little melodic. It's from a very, very popular RPG game. Oh, there it is. People got it. It is Final Fantasy, but which one? Which one is it? Is it 4? It's not 4. This is very, very, very close to 4, though. Dude, your camera lights are too bright. All right, it's like too bright in my face. Is that better? So it's not too bright. I can even change the setting of how hot and warm it is. Maybe that's a little bit better. Just warming up the face. I appreciate the feedback. This is a feedback stream before we get into topics. All right, beginning intro to Final Fantasy VI, otherwise known as 3. Congratulations, War. I think you win because you know exactly what this is. This is Terra's theme from Final Fantasy 3 in the US, or Final Fantasy 6. That's right, Chrono Trigger, another good guess. Very good guess. Pac-Man Fever on repeat. Play that intro music as the background. You love that. I love it, man. Hey, buddy. New life. Remember me, your biggest fan. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. Peter McNabb hopes his Arcade1Ups last years. Want to take care of them like babies. Final Fantasy 3-6. There you go. What's up, Arcade Mountain? I think War. I think you got it. War is good. What's good? What's good? What's up, Xavier? My man. My man. All right. So hot. Hopefully this is good. All right, so the topic again is Arcade1Ups. How long would they last? Your Hello Kitty bot says your average adult wouldn't choose to collect Power Wheels over real cars, but that's what people are doing, buying toy arcades instead of real ones. A Hot Wheel compared to a real car, or a Arcade1Up compared to a real arcade. Get the analogy. I think your scale of proportions might be a little bit off. It would be like buying, you know, maybe Power Wheels, or maybe even a go-kart, right? Or something else that's a little bit more comparable. Interesting. I do like the at Rhythm Final Fantasy. I don't know if that's a particular group, but let me know. This is why you have a little everything 1-ups, full-size, originals, mods. Yeah, definitely. That is better light-wise, nice music on the spot for sure. Cool. All right, you had us that FF3 hat you ordered from the insert. You had the FF3? You had the US FF3 hat. Order from the insert. War, I think you got it. You'll go buy go-karts over real cars all day. Xavier is installing a Dell monitor to improve input lag. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Okay. All right, we're caught up to chat. Everybody's good. Again, today's topic. I'm going to tell a little story about this past weekend. And over the summertime, I went to a place, my favorite brewery in the SoCal area. It's called Smog City Brewery. You guys might remember this place because it is exactly the same place that Arcade1Up partnered with to host their big sample sale or charity sale or, you know, warehouse sale. They have a warehouse located here in Southern California in Compton. Sorry, I'm outing out, but you don't know where it's at. It's in Compton, California, is the Arcade1Up warehouse. And they had extra inventory to liquidate. So my involvement in that whole thing, Sean D asked me and said, hey, do you know any places in SoCal that would be willing to host this sale? So I was like, why not partner with like a brewery? A brewery feels like a great place, natural place for arcades and pinball. And Smog was one of the places I reached out to and started that conversation. And the rest was history. We hosted an amazing community event. I feel like this summer was like one of the heights of like community involvement. No matter whether you hate Arcade1Up or love Arcade1Up, the fact is we got a ton of people, heavily discounted cabs, you know, direct from Arcade1Up. And so I'm super happy that that event, for most people that enjoyed it, you know, was able to get something like Big Blues and other discounted cabs, you know, at really steep prices. You know, for those that were in person, it was a great experience. For those that were online on all the different community streams, I know it was a little bit wonky, but hey, we had to figure that out like the day of or like a couple of days beforehand to just make this happen. We could have just said it's only for the people that are there in person, but we wanted to be able to open it up for the public. And then we had to get a little bit complicated on how we did that. So yeah, that's the story of Smog City and how we got Arcade1Up working with them. But because of that, afterwards, we had some show sample pieces there. We actually had donated, or like Arcade1Up donated some of their cabinets to the brewery long term. And, you know, every time I go visit them, because I still go every once in a while, I kind of check in on the arcades to see how they're doing. And I can go over the lineup that they have and tell you exactly what happened. But they got a Simpsons cabinet, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time cabinet. They got a Big Blue, and they got a Ms. Pac-Man cocktail cabinet. So those are the cabinets that have been at the brewery since July, since we hosted this event. So Chris says that it was an amazing event. You got your Big Blue from that event, right? So Smog City Brewing, I hope people really enjoyed that. So yeah, at that event, again, every time I go every once in a while, I'll just like peek and see how they're doing. And I remember immediately, like within a week, looking at the Simpsons cabinet and like the buttons and the roller cab, and somebody had already like spilt their beer on the control panel, so like you can kind of see the water stains underneath stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this looks bad. Like maybe a brewery isn't the best place for these cabinets, right? Especially if there's not like cup holders on them and people are putting them on the top part, they're playing a game. Imagine rolling a ball and like spilling your drink, get a little bit crazy, right? Yeah, so just spoiler alert, the coder board that you saw in the actual cabinet was from the Simpsons cabinet. So the Simpsons cabinet, funny story on how that got there. Man, I don't know, like I have all these things to say, right? So the Simpsons cabinet actually was my Simpsons cabinet. I had purchased a Simpsons cabinet and never put it together, and Smog City event, I wanted to make sure that we had one there to be able to promote the event and like make sure that people were walking by could see an Arcade1Up. So I was like, I'm never gonna have space to put this in my house. So like I in my head was like, all right, if I build the Simpsons cabinet there and promote it, I could always go there and play Simpsons if I wanted to. So it's like technically like, hey, I gave it to the brewery so it can be used for the event. So I've always had like an attachment to that Simpsons cabinet. Louis P said he's spilled his beer on the NBC cabinet. So I mean, everybody's spilled something, but to like at a brewery, every time I saw it, I was like, it's so dirty. Like, is this gonna survive a public space? So eventually, I also had other cabinets that I could not keep in the house, and so I was like, all right, if this brewery is willing to have more Arcade1Ups. Mrs. Kongs or Us was talking to the manager and was like, can we unload more stuff at your house or at your brewery? And they're like, yeah, we love these things, like feel free. So I mean, so here's what I did. I actually donated another NBA Jam cabinet that I just got, as well as a sit-down Outrun cabinet, because like I have zero place to put these, and I'm like, if I can't enjoy it in my house, I'm gonna partner with my local brewery and be like, all right, at least I have another mini arcade that for cabinets that I can't have in my house. Like I would have loved to have a Simpsons, a TMNT, and all this stuff. I was like, hey, let's just put it there. So now there's a NBA Jam, an Outrun, a TMNT, a broken Simpsons, a Big Blue, and a Cactus cocktail. And you know what, Chris? This was another kind of like, hey, manager, if I give you these things and I built them for you, not for me, but Mrs. Kongs or Us, can you hook a girl up? So needless to say, the night that I kept bringing the new cabinets in, our tab was taken care of. So hey, that's free promotion for for them, but you know, it was just doing something for an actual place that we love going to. And I think it's actually kind of cool that I have another mini arcade that I can go to, because there's not a lot in the South Bay. Not that Arcade1Ups are the best arcade to go to, but at least I could have partly something that was like, hey, somebody else is going to enjoy these, and I can't have it in my house. So, all right. Calling to see if John can get one of the LA guys to get a replacement board. Yes. So that's what's going to happen. So essentially, I was looking through, that's the NBA Jam cabinet there. This has a fun story. I'm going to go back to the NBA Jam, but this is the Simpsons. This is the Simpsons cabinet that has an issue. Let's play the, really quickly, let's play a quick video about the Simpsons board so you guys can see it. Let me turn down the music. All right. So right now the Simpsons board turns on, but since this has been fried because of a accidental spill, none of the controls are working to play in the game right now. So everything turns on, but we'll need a replacement encoder board, and possibly power switch as well, because it has some corrosion as well. Yep, that's it. So the whole board essentially was fried. It was kind of gross. When I was testing it out and checking it out, I was like, come on, man. Like, I don't know what they were doing or who was at the actual like event itself, but this, when I pulled it open, they had no idea why it wasn't working, right? So I got to kind of live my like, oh, I'm an arcade operator. Like, hey, I'm the Arcade1Up guy. And I keep telling them that like I don't work for Arcade1Up, I'm just a fan and make content of it. So gave me a screwdriver, opened it up, checked the encoder board, and this is what I found. Like, yes. So what had happened was beer had been spilled in the power volume area, seeped into that whole encoder board section, and completely fried the encoder board. So this is a non-working encoder board. You can see several shorts across multiple places on the board. This is gonna be, it's not even, I don't think, worth repairing at this point. You can see, look at this. This is like super, look at this power. Isn't that gross? Like spilled beer, and how dangerous this is to have, this is the power into this, and this is the volume switch, right? So volume can be a little bit corroded, but look at all the rust on the power cable, right? I felt like this is definitely like fire hazard even. So I think, you know, I told them, I said, hey, you know, Smog City manager, you'll probably need to submit a ticket and get not only the power and volume switch replaced, but the encoder board, because it's pretty much toast. Like everything else turns on, but look at all this singeness. So it is pretty toasty. But yeah, look, it was just gross looking at it. Like there's so many things that are fried here. So I think all the controls and everything else should be okay. I think it's just the board that's pretty shorted and fried, but at least everything still turns on. This is a poor Simpsons cabinet that I got to see what was up. It's gross. I know. I'm curious what people are saying right now. 1Ups need beer holders for sure, man. The beer fried the capacitors and caused the acid leak, man. No, you're for sure. All right, seal the board when you put it back. That is so ill, for sure. Coca-Cola fix it spilled on there, for sure, right? Is this sarcasm? Of course, they can't survive in public. Why even ask? Well, because there are some people that are trying to make a living off of having these in public places. So no, this is not sarcastic. This is an actual just in-hand experience of seeing one in public and what could happen, especially if it's at a brewery place where there's tons of drinks. So what I plan to do with this board here is I actually did message John D and say like, hey, do you remember that Simpsons that we brought to Smog? Do you think they would like replace this? Because I don't think I have the original receipt for the Simpsons and I can't put in a ticket. And he was like, yeah, just let them know it was for the event and they should be able to send out an encoder board replacement. And so like the brewery folks don't know about submitting tickets and all this stuff. So like they have no idea how to take care of their things. So yeah, I'm going to submit a ticket to see if I can get a replacement encoder board for them, but it is out of order. They have a big out of order sign on their Arcade1Up because it's truly out of order. The second thing that I actually ended up fixing because I was there was the Pac-Man cocktail cabinet. They had a Pac-Man cocktail table that had 1 player and 2 player, and I've never really played one in person. So a lot of the games are like full screen vertical, and then when you play 2 players, it just flips around to the player 2 side when it's their turn. But the player 2 side wasn't working. They couldn't figure out why, and they're like, oh, the player 2 side never worked, and it wasn't working. First off, they were missing some of the screws to secure down the sides of the control panels itself. So after pulling that up, lifting it up, it turns out the extra cable that was plugged into the player 2 side was not plugged into the player 1 side, and it was just dangling on the bottom. So the player 1 side was plugged in, the player 2 side was not connected. Found some extra screws, plugged everything back in, it's working. So I was like, yay, at least I fixed one machine that was broken there. But like, hey, I got to live out and play Arcade Operator for free, and my payment got some nice little mango pango from Smog City as a reward. So it's building us a rapport with one of my favorite breweries. So that's kind of what happened with the arcades that were there. Everything else was still working okay. There wasn't much other damage to any of the other cabs that were there. TMNT was playing just fine. Big Blue was playing fine. No other cabinets had like spills on it, so maybe there was just like one spill incident, and that originally like caused everything to happen. Because afterwards, we were able to take off the plexi from the Simpsons cabinet, wipe down the underside. So from a physical standpoint, it looked dirty, but we actually were able to wipe it down. The trackball was nasty. I didn't turn over. I don't think I have a picture of the trackball at all, but the trackball in the Simpsons cabinet was dirty. It was like black. There was like it's almost like, do you remember old mouses that used to have like an actual mouse trackball, and then like you'd roll around and it'd be like all like black? It's exactly what it looked like if you opened it up. All the little sides would be all nasty and stuff. Ugh. So yeah, I'm gonna wait until I get the encoder board to actually test out if the trackball still works. But yeah, that gutter ball, it was bad. It was dirty. So yeah, trackball games in a public place, definitely. Yeah, that one may not be the best one for a public place. But yeah, just to get back to the question again. So this is a short example. 4 months in a public place at the brewery. Yeah, one of the arcades went down because of an incidental spill. Maybe if people were thinking about putting these in public spaces, especially where there's like other beverages and alcohol, people probably need to invest in cup holders, right? Maybe side cup holders to add into the actual arcade itself. Just attach it onto the side or something. Putting it on the control panel while you're playing. Terrible idea. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Who knows? But the other place that wants to make a living doing this, I think a few weeks ago, you guys might have seen this. It's a new 80s themed arcade in Fairmont.
Introducing
And
Wells
this
Fargo
is totally
Premier.
an ad.
Banking, lending, and investing designed around you.
A new 80s themed arcade is now open in Fairmont. Five's Chris Farha tells us what you can expect.
Check this out.
The area's newest arcade is officially open. Arcade1Up offers 80s style games and is packed with about 30 different coin-style machines like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Centipede, and many more. It's a family-friendly environment and a great hangout spot or a place to find a new hobby. Manager Ozzy Adams says everyone is enjoying it so far.
Everybody's loved it. They've been coming down, having a blast. Kids are having a good time. Adults alike as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's just coming in, and some people my age, it's bringing back memories. Like, oh my God, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and new kids that haven't seen some of these games. It's a whole new experience for them, and they're eating it up. And
look at that Qbert mod right
there.
The
arcade also hosts birthday parties or any other type of get-togethers. This is one of the few arcades around. It's a safe space where no drinking or smoking is allowed. Adams says it just gives people in the area something to do.
This is meant to be a place where kids can feel comfortable.
This is just somebody's space
hang out and socialize and meet new friends and stuff like that. I mean, I know back in the day, I was telling somebody the other day, that's how we met friends. We went into an arcade and it was just like, hey, you want to play a game? Yeah. And that's how we made friends. And it's kind of bringing stuff back like that.
The arcade is located at 315 Morgantown Avenue in Fairmont. Keeping you connected in Fairmont, Chris Farha, 5 News.
Nice. All right, so that is the 80s themed arcade that opened up, and you could tell based on the pictures that he's been following Arcade1Up for a while, because he's been doing some mods on some Gen 1 cabinets too. I'm pretty sure he might be somebody in the community that was like, hey, maybe I can actually turn my basement into a place where people are coming out. It looks like they are not doing coin op, and it's just a paid time thing space. But just going back into like the picture there's a Legends Ultimate in there as well. There's a Qbert.
This is one of any other
Qbert, and then there's a Donkey Kong mod in there too. So this person has been modding cabinets as well. There's some different things in here that somebody turned their home arcade passion into a public space for people to enjoy. So again, with the theme of the topic, I think this actually caused some interesting thoughts and conversation about, could this work as a business model? Yes, this is meant for just allowing people to come out and hang out in a safe space, but is it something that is going to last? Like, one, just hardware wise, but two, right, the quality of Arcade1Up home arcade experience versus a commercial home arcade experience. I think there was somebody in the comment section that was saying like, hey, this is just like the one that's in Pasadena. I would venture to say, no, it is not like Neon Retro in Pasadena, because I've been there and those are actual real legit home arcades. If I went to an arcade, kind of like my Smog City Brewery, and I saw like Arcade1Ups, obviously being a fan of the home arcade space, I would definitely know the difference already. And so for the public consumer, it would be interesting going to a retail commercial place that was focusing on these. So yeah, Neon Retro Arcade does not suck. Hello Kitty bot. It is awesome. Neon Retro Arcade. All right. So you wouldn't step foot in a place that has one arcade. It's going to be up several great Arcade1Ups. Still waiting for that time crisis. This is no different than when you have places like your Buy an Hour of Neo Geo or PS2 back in the day. Yeah, so is this legal? And yeah, this is another kind of interesting question, because I don't know if Arcade1Ups was really meant to be commercially licensed to be able to profit from them in a kind of a coin-op exchange. I have zero clue about the legality of this, but I think I've seen people that have put these types of arcades into, what was it, like one of those mobile gaming vans where you just have a giant truck with a bunch of arcades and you kind of rent it out to kids' birthday parties. I've seen that for sure. And so I don't think there's been any issues with that. People are kind of buying it and doing whatever they want with it. But yeah, people in that place, I think somebody was saying they're not allowing drinks and things. So I hope anybody that ventures into doing any type of business like you, that you succeed in whatever you're doing. I question, based off of my experience this past weekend, how long you would be running a place like this. You are now an arcade operator for Arcade1Up parts and things. Will you have access to things like encoder boards, or like if a PCB fries? And like most Arcade1Up or even real arcades, like the PCBs will last for years and years and years, even to this day. It's like really minor repairs here and there on buttons and other things and sticks. So totally doable. You could be an arcade operator for Arcade1Ups, but that's so weird to me. Like, that's why I just had this weird kind of sensation this past weekend where I was literally opening up and troubleshooting what was wrong with the Arcade1Up cabinet. I was like, oh, the power's on. Oh, the buttons aren't working. And I went through my troubleshooting steps until I discovered the fried board. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts on it. I just wanted to kind of go over this topic and give some insight into my recent experience with this. See if there's any other questions about licensing and what's it allowed. 16 ones are legal bootleg PCBs. This is legal because it's based off of time. I see they're not doing coin op. They're just saying like, enter my location for a set amount of fee, and then within the location you have all these things to enjoy. That totally makes sense. It's like a timeshare. This idea is similar to the old school electronic cafes. Oh yeah, net cafes and playing for time. Yeah, I remember those. Bob says happy that people are enjoying old games still. I think at its core, yeah, like I think for a small town that might not have like a real arcade, this could definitely be a good thing for those that may not be able to experience it at all. But I go back to my one of my original thoughts. So I was talking to UAG yesterday, again, weekly retro party, great stream, about the cost of our arcades. We've been at this hobby for now about 4 years. I think I'm like about 3 years into being an owner of Arcade1Up products and other home arcades. I think it's extreme to see like water being spilt into your cabinet and having a PCB or an encoder board fry. But what's to say like 5 to 10 years from now, like everything's still going to be working up to snuff and be able to do the simple emulation that we're asking it to do. There's over 1 million cabinets out there in the wild now for Arcade1Up, and so eventually they might be on the street, they might be refurbished somewhere. People might be using them to gut and maybe do a real or like a emulated PC mod, who knows. So we're going to be seeing them more and more, I think, in non-home arcade applications. People that are upgrading to real arcades and pinball, or just moving into other places. Like, can you have a like mini game room that like, oh look, there's an Arcade1Up in the corner, and whenever I see one, I'm like, hey look, there's an Arcade1Up. I think I went to my wife went to UCLA the other day and was like, hey, the student rec room area has a couple Arcade1Ups, and she showed me pictures. Like, I would be all excited, but I'm not excited to see Arcade1Ups in the wild in public places. I think not that I cringe immediately, but I just worry about the longevity and the upkeep of them. I think they truly are meant to be home arcade pieces that are meant for you to enjoy as part of a home space that you've created for it. I know that's what it says right on the box. These are home arcade machines, not meant for commercial spaces. So it always gets me anytime I see an Arcade1Up in a public space. But hey, I helped contribute to it. I was like, I don't have space in my house. Let's go, Smog City. Let's go. All right, let's just jump down and see. Great chat and neat sharing your experience. All right, Worst Jago says, move the encoder to behind the monitor, run longer wires from the button 6, so the encoder board is definitely a thing that would be at risk. Hey, you know what? This is actually a really good idea because I worry about the future risk of that too. The encoder board, the way that it sits, is literally right underneath the power and volume switches, which is the most vulnerable spot for a spill to leak down and damage the encoder board. So either moving it to behind the monitor, that would be like a lot of extra wiring, especially for a 4-player control panel, but even just moving it away from that spot where there would be less chance of a water spill to actually damage the board is absolutely something I will consider doing once I get some extra parts. Yes. You've seen people put behind tall trailers and fill up winter parties. Yes, it's exactly. He made a cool place for people. Coming soon. Oh man, Arcade1Up Casino. Can you imagine charging people for fake gambling? That would be fun. All right, this is why drink holders are mistakes on cabs. They offer tables away from machines. Make a good point. Playing music in the background distracts from the dialogue. Distracting is always a good idea to start the music and then fade out person. I tune in to hear you, not the music. Oh, thanks for the feedback, BP. I'm trying to play around with my background music a little bit, and some people like it, some people didn't, so I appreciate that feedback. I'll turn it down a little bit just so that I'm gonna try it out and listen back and see how it is. I appreciate the feedback. Paul Mindeman says, I hate seeing these in public too. Usually the scale is wrong, among other things. Mystery Encoder here is that I don't appreciate your hoodie. This guy is complaining all the time about wanting an Arcade1Up hoodie. And guess what? Another story for this past weekend. I mailed him an Arcade1Up hoodie, and he says he doesn't appreciate it. Ugh, you try to do things for some people. Giving away cabs to Smog City, giving away hoodies, and he doesn't appreciate me. Man, you will not be worried all about the PCBs. Technology is not news. We have tons of technology that's old and still works. It's a good point, C Marvel. But is it in a place that makes it vulnerable to spills and other things like what happened in the Smog City case? Who knows? All right. I jump out of your videos and reload them to interact with the ads again because you're cool. Thanks without dropping dealers. Thanks, Endless1Up. All right. So what is your favorite Arcade1Up that you own, Kong? I would say my favorite Arcade1Up still has to be my original Marvel vs. Capcom 1 cabinet. I played that thing to death more than any other cabinet, twice, 3 times over. Like over 9,000 matches now. I've counted my record, and I still continue to play it. Even like I have my MBC2 cabinet right now, and I'm playing MBC2, and I'm still waiting. The matches on MBC1 are still my favorites, and I love that cabinet. It's my best. Kill the music. We're here for you. All right. I will kill the music. Killing the music. Final Fantasy Terrace theme. You're done. So I should do the music for like first 10-15 minutes, and then we'll keep going. All right, so Carl O says, why is this community re-engineering these cabs? I can see improvements, but customers shouldn't have to fix Arcade1Up flaws, and Arcade1Up knows exists and does not fix. Yeah, I've always been one of those people that have been, quick to mod my Arcade1Up because I had the capacity to do so. And not that I've enabled Arcade1Up to not come out with better stuff, but I know it's not their business model to, provide the highest level of arcade experience. Like they are really meant for making a home arcade replica experience and not like as authentic. I don't think you've ever seen the words, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, authentic arcade gameplay experience. Maybe their Pro Series is trying to emulate that, but their other machines, the 3/4 scale ones, the ones that are just trying to give you that taste of nostalgia, I don't know if they're ever going to get to that like true authentic. And so the buttons that they have, which we know are trash, they're complete trash. I have a couple of them here. I don't know if the average person, the 90% of people that are getting this just for home arcade decor, is gonna care for that authentic performance. The majority of people that buy Arcade1Up cabinets, I know Carlo, you said you don't even have, a bunch of Arcade1Up cabinets. I think you have a bunch of Legends products. That it's really about the look and the feel more than the gameplay. And I still feel that way about my Arcade1Ups, that I enjoy, like, I would say 80 to 90% of my enjoyment from my arcade is the way that it looks more than playing every single machine that I have. It's about recreating that home arcade experience. So they know that. They know that marketing ploy about making sure that it's just more general for your average consumer. So for the hardcore people that want to do the upgrades, there's a smaller percentage of those people. And I've asked John and I've asked other people that like Liv about, would Arcade1Up ever be in the business of offering upgrade parts or like options, right? So say there was an a la carte version where you have your standard base Arcade1Up, but then they made models like the Pro, but like, you can upgrade your buttons and like, configure your arcade before it ships to you. That it would be too much logistically to do, and it would put some of our third party arcade business order upgraders like Retro 530 and DIY Retro and other places a little bit out of business. And so it's actually created this market of people that I love supporting as well. Even though I know Arcade1Up should be doing it a little bit more, it's created this I love the modding community and all the vendors that do create some of these things, because Arcade1Up has these issues. If Arcade1Up was perfect, those guys would be out of business. They would have no reason to create all the mods that they do. So there is some fun in the creativity of doing this, but that's just like a quick thought that I have about, why these the cabinets are perfect. It's creating market, it's creating business, it's economy. I do think the prices should be lower though, and they are getting higher for what we're getting. Like upgrading a $300 cabinet, maybe not as big. Upgrading like a $600-700 cabinet, that's where it really gets really, really sad. All right. Some people did enjoy the music. Take the poll. You liked it. Oh man. Okay, so it's okay. I'll have to figure out something for people. I'm very much a people pleaser, so we'll go back and forth eventually. All right. So he finally got his hoodie. He did. All right. Arcade1Up buttons are trash. Dan Z, can you build me Nooner, Cliffhanger, and NHL Xmas for Christmas? I cannot, unfortunately. Cliffhanger or NHL for Christmas, I cannot do that. All right. You want an Arcade1Up Pinball Pro Elite or whatever they want to call it. All right, the monitor issues are more pressing. The buttons and sticks are not pro. All right, let me jump down to the bottom and see if I'm missing some other things. When are they going to make a crappy non-V pinball like Sizzle or Scissor or whatever they were going to be? I had a Zizzle pinball machine, and yeah, those were not great at all. Not even worth, I think, the 50, 60 bucks that I paid for it. They were complete trash. All right, it's in a way like aftermarket cars. That's $1 billion industry. Oh, you're talking about, yes, everything. Yeah, what I'm talking about. Retro 530, it's a NorCal company. Yes, love all those people. You're grateful that you can even upgrade your controls to real authentic parts. But emulation speed is another topic, kind of a slippery slope. The bad guy Mike Worley says being able to upgrade your cabinet is a great idea. I have no idea why they don't offer upgrade parts. There's tons of aftermarket, people like me like to upgrade them. So like I was just saying, there are third-party vendors that aren't one official Arcade1Up endorsed, but it would be, I think, a logistical nightmare for them to do custom builds or parts for every single cab release that comes out, right? Because you have the standard production of 3,000 cabinets that are cookie cutter, and then to be able to like, oh, you're going to customize this controller with this parts on this and ship this one versus this person wants these parts and things. Like, yeah, I don't ever see that being a model that they would endorse, but I think they should acknowledge like, hey, here are some places where we can get extra parts. And here's what I would like to see from them is if people could purchase like replacement parts that are official Arcade1Up replacement parts, like say a replacement BOE monitor or replacement marquee. Early on, they were actually having some of their Arcade1Up parts for sale, their extra inventory that they were putting out there. I remember getting some extra Star Wars yokes out there for people that were buying stuff, maybe stuff that's a little bit out of warranty, but you want to buy a replacement part for that. Like I would buy personally like extra power volume switches, but I think they have to save them for the warranty people issues rather than putting them out there for sale. But I'm curious if they might even do that in the future where they go back to their parts store and add up everything. It's impressive that One Up finds the bad buttons that they have at Anthony Vitale. Couldn't find the buttons that are not that bad from Arcade1Up. I think they custom had those buttons created just for Arcade1Up. Whatever the vendor is that made those One-Up buttons was like, man, they were terrible, like design wise, like what it was trying to replicate versus what they came out to be. And they keep going back to that same vendor. Like I did a whole video about the improvements of the actual Arcade1Up joysticks and how they've gotten so much better in terms of the joysticks. And yeah, I think we've not seen that evolution from the buttons. It's not the micro switch, it's like the physical button itself. If they can get that a little bit better, maybe improve the micro switch a little bit, I think it could be done. But it's quite sad that we've seen a great evolution from sticks, but not from the buttons. Paul says creating aftermarket is a poor excuse. Car makers always try to do better, and there's no shortage of aftermarket in the car scene. You make a good point. It's not like they're intentionally creating aftermarket because of them being less than perfect. It's more or less just a byproduct of them not being perfect, that it creates that space for creativity. All right. Let's see if there's any other comments in here. Okay. You're able to make your Tempest cab look more authentic thanks to 3D part modeling on the companies. Yeah, I actually have that project to do. I have a Retro 530 lit marquee that creates that slant for the marquee to match the side of the panel. And then I have the waterfall deck, a version 2 version of the deck from Arcade1Up. I bought the version 1 deck. And then when he came on my show, I told him that I hadn't installed it yet. He sent me the version 2 deck, and I'm shipping him back the version 1 deck as an upgrade. So thank you. I'm definitely going to do a live modding session soon. I was thinking about doing it today, but got a little bit too busy with things. So this was a interesting topic I wanted to touch on. Arcade1Up is smart for not offering upgrades, leaves the liability off of them into something that happens. Yeah, you know what? You bring up another good point, Long and Low, because a company like AtGames, and I've done my fair share of AtGames modding too, it's almost like inherently to get the most value out of an AtGames Legends pinball, for example, you have to mod it. You have to be able to add a VIBS board onto it to get that extra third monitor or switch your back glass if you wanted to. Without upgrading, even your standard ALU Legends to CoinOps, which you can just do via, not any big hard modding, but the Legends pinball, you have to do some physical modding to it, but they don't cover via warranty if you mess up your board or anything like that. In fact, when I was replacing the monitor out of my Legends pinball, the actual board itself for the motherboard or whatever the main board that they use on my Legends pinball actually fried, and like a little part sparked, and like woof, it was gone. So then I don't think it was under warranty, so I did have to pay for a replacement. And but it's weird in terms of liability when you think the product is, you have to be comfortable with modding to be able to do it. But even me, like as a quote unquote experienced modder, will break my stuff. So yeah, it's interesting that if they offer upgrades, the instructions to even get people to do their standard upgrades would, I think, open them up for liability as well. Bob says, Seymour, I love your helmet, but no aftermarket car parts really improve the points you make. They mostly hurt gasoline mileage. There's some good conversation happening in the chat. Good conversation. All right. Nooner says, Mr. Encoder, I am one of the guilty who go way overboard in car mods. It's the hobby you love, and I use that as an excuse. Yeah, car modders are a people. I was a car modder at one point, Nooner. I was only doing physical mods to my old 99 Honda Accord Coupe, but now I am enjoying my stock cars as much as possible. So getting the upgraded things. And plus, I was just thinking about it the other day too. back then when we were doing early car mods in like I would say early 2000s, there were still like standard parts that you could buy aftermarket that would fit multiple cars, car radios, stereos and things. A lot of things are so customized per each car now in terms of like the dash and things that it's hard. I feel like it's harder to mod a standard car now, and it's really even worth keeping your car stocked and doing in the mod. So yeah, unless people are doing really crazy things like physical wise, I don't think there's personally a ton of good reason to be modding cars these days. All right. Mr. Encoder says, Kongs or Us, what cabinet do you have that we need to mod next so we can do more modding content on YouTube? If we fix controls on Simpsons, be live at the brewery hacking Simpsons. That's a good question. Let me know in chat if you guys have some suggestions for Team Encoder, aka Mystery Encoder, on what you would like to see next so we can do some modding content. It has been a while since I've covered any of the topics that Mr. Encoder and team have been working on, right? I'm sure he's been busy and the team's been working. I know Pinball version 4 has been waiting for backlash stuff, but I do want to give a shout out to my guy Kai Cherry, RNSK Skunkworks, has been working in his own kind of bubble to provide some other backlash updates and mods pretty soon. So gonna be working with him on that. So there's Pinball, that's one. I'm very interested now that I have the Terminator 2 cabinet to hear what Demystification, whatever his pseudo mystery name is, a T2 mod. I think many people would be highly interested in that if that's a possibility. I think there was like Rad Mystery, right? That also got there. So let me know in the chat in terms of what things you would like to see. Some people are saying T2. Side loading Simpsons sounds interesting, right? Some Tron stuff, maybe, right? There's some lots of things in there. So I'd say my top things would be T2, Rad Mystery, Simpsons hack. That would be fun if I did a live mod at at the brewery and when it gets fixed. I think that would be pretty cool. And then what's the last one? Pinball. I think pinball. So like, let's do it. People are saying 3T2 for sure. Let me throw up a chat and then we'll do a live poll so we can get this going. Let's do a live poll and see where we're at. So let me know in the chat what you guys want. T2, Tron, and Ridge Racer. And Mr. Encoder, I think you actually have a Tron cabinet too. I think that would be actually really cool to see what you have in mind for Tron mods, because I think that would be a great way to reuse some of those things. So let's start a poll. So what Arcade1Up cab should Team Encoder work on next? Right, let's see. We have Pinball V4. We have T2. We have Outrun, Rad Mystery, or Simpsons side load. And all of these are actually like side load options, right? This is all things that are there. So those are the 4 options I'm going to be putting out there. Let me know in chat what you want to see Team Encoder work on and release next, so that way we can see. He says he has Tron. The Simpsons mod is so easy, it took 5 minutes. Yeah, there actually are some other Simpsons modders out there. I don't know if Mr. Encoder actually has any thoughts about all the different Simpsons mods out there, but I saw the biggest, most popular one was Simpsons, adding in the TMNT APK, and then there's a kind of loader that loads between the two. I think that's pretty cool. I don't have the cabinet to test it out, but that's been a pretty cool rad thing. Ridge Racer Pinball on your current list of stuff to look at. Talking about being in Irvine next week. When's the next Smog City outing? I don't know if they're going to be doing another event, but I can tell you the Smog City Brewing folks, the brewers there and the managers absolutely loved hosting the Arcade1Up event. So if Arcade1Up is willing to do another sample sale or warehouse sale in the future, they would be happy to host. If they were going to do something, it probably would be like next year. I don't think it's something that they would do regularly, more frequently than once a year. So I would be happy to since it's their warehouse is in SoCal, find another brewery or that same location to do it again next year. I'll bug them and see if that's something they can do annually. I think it'd be awesome to get some liquidated cheap cabinets, like cheap cabinets, right? So yeah, there it is. All right, especially with Ridge Racer at $299. Ridge Racer and T2 going on sale. I think they're on sale right now in Best Buy. Let me actually check that out. I think Best Buy Ridge Racer. I think I saw 19K Fox post that out. Best Buy Ridge Racer. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, it says $499. I thought I saw it at $299. Maybe that was just a glitch or a short-term thing. Yeah. Not quite there. Okay, I was looking it up, but not quite. Mr. Encoder. I saw someone had it working. Can't remember the video. Sorry. All right, maybe Team Encoder can do the Simpsons tent control fix on the fighter cabs to rotate the sticks wrong. All right. T2. All right. Bob says, Kong, make sure you put up a sign so no one thinks the Simpsons mod is stock. Don't need some more bad publicity. Yeah, I actually think about, like, again, it being in a public place. Even the mods that we saw from that one place that was running Donkey Kong, right? It's running emulation, but it's not a stock cabinet. So we definitely would have to do something in terms of a sign. Out of the box, your Tron was freezing up, randomly replace the PCB, and now it won't connect via Wi-Fi. That sucks, StoreKC. I would follow up that ticket. I would follow up with the ticket for sure. Okay, all right. Wish you could add Big Blue APK to the Yoga Flame cabinet so you can play Darkstalkers and Knights of the Round on your Yoga Flame. Those are some interesting wish lists to combine APKs and play them on the cabinets, kind of like we did with that. I know that's something that I don't think Mr. Encoder has done straight out, putting APKs from the other things, but allowing you to sideload your own things is always possible. All right. Oh, Long and Low is saying, like, you got me SF2 Partycade. Love you for that. All right. Well, thanks for being out there, man. I appreciate that. You have to be a total tech member to get the $299. I see. Got it. So it's not open for the public. You have to be a total tech member to get the $299 price points. Okay. All right. Let's check out the chat poll right now. So we have so far 23% out of 47 votes saying that, version 2 pinball or pinball v4, 47% say T2. 90% say Outrun, only 11% care about Simpsons. So I think you have it, Mr. Encoder. I would love to, support the team. However, it would be most helpful to get you guys working on T2, and I would be happy to test it out. Yeah. Mr. Encoder says you don't care for combining cabinets because that's technically illegal. And if T2 could get Revolution X, you'd be happy. That's right, Chris. I would think so too. However, if someone was inclined to do the APK sideload stuff with X-Men Big Blue, FEC, Simpsons, and eventually was inclined to do that APK sideload. Okay, so he's saying it's possible to eventually do that. Time Crisis are the Android cabinets. I say. So he's saying these cabinets listed here are Android cabinets. Therefore, it is possible to do APK sideloading like the Simpsons, TMNT, and or those other ones. So compatibility matters if they're not Android based. So these are the only ones that you could do that. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know. All right. All right. KI is awesome, but Battletoads is 8-bit is the best. Nice. Darth Blacken asks, how close is Arcade1Up to running out of sellable titles? That is where their money is probably going to. New licenses, not aftermarket ideas. Licensing is a huge money, barrier for even some companies to acquire them. And seeing how licensing deals work and who you have to know, that's where John D is really like, I don't want to say like he has, I don't want to say the word complete like legend, but he has clout in the industry to get titles and people working together in between the lines, right? This is a relationship you need between two companies, and you need a relationship guy. And John D happens to be that great relationship guy for companies that want to work with them because he's making them money and they're making him money. So that's how relationships work. It's a mutually beneficial thing. So what are they going to release next? I think when I've talked to John in the past, there's not many titles in terms of like licenses that they don't have the license for already. It's just a matter of, do they have the hardware to catch up with the particular game or title for emulation purposes? And is it going to make sense to the public from a marketing standpoint to sell X number of minimum cabinets to make that worth their time? So like, what are those sweet spot titles like Michael B was mentioning, and Justin Console Kids kind of, does some predictions. Like, what are those sweet spot titles that, one, they can do in terms of emulation, and then two, like that it's going to be popular for the public to actually jump in and buy, because you have still a good number of cabinets that they can do. But yeah, I don't know what their next line of stuff, but they could easily go back and do some of the classic 80s titles that they like, those I don't think have any emulation issues. It's just a matter of, is there going to be a market enough demand to be able to sell those cabinets? I think those are the things. And some of the more popular titles that, like a Daytona and the Sega Model 3s, like Star Wars Trilogy, it's going to be more demanding from a hardware standpoint before we can get to those cabinets. So I'm hoping that we'll have some new titles next year, but I don't know what they could be. Don't know what it would be. All right. Mr. Encoder says, also, it's not that T2 isn't being worked on. The challenge at hand is a big one because the stock OS, if you will, is the problem. So we have to build a custom kernel for better performance. Interesting. It's good to know. It's good to know that it's being worked on. And, the team does a lot of work on the back end to make these things happen. So, for any lack of appreciation, it's great to hear that you and multiple people on Team Encoder are working on this. But if there's any motivational push we can get you to do, you know where to find me, Mr. Encoder. I have shows on Thursdays. So anytime you want to use a live guinea pig to test out said thing, you let me know. I know a guy. Maybe not next week, maybe not the following, maybe the following. We'll see. Mr. Encoder is fun because sometimes like on a Thursday, I'll be like, hey, you got anything new? Can we test out something? And it'll help motivate him to get something on. So I'll give you a fun little thing. Maybe in 2 weeks, maybe December 1st. Let me know if we can do a Team Encoder update for all things Team Encoder. Let me know. Press 1 in the chat if you love to hear from the Team Encoder guys. I would love to invite them back on and we can talk about what's next, do a community poll, talk about the challenges of things you guys are working on, see what the community feedback is for things that you could be working on a release. I think Team Encoder guys are very much like, ooh, shiny object, and they're kind of just like working on lots of things. But if the community focused in on what they would like to see, maybe that'll help give you guys some direction and we can see it. So look at all the ones in the chat. Let's do it. December 1st, Team Encoder. I'd love to have you guys on. That'd be fun. That'd be great. Afterburner is a must. I would love an Afterburner cabinet. That would be really cool. Nintendo's the Dream Cab, right? That's the one. Super Hang On, another must. These are some really good titles. They can totally emulate these. It's just about controls. Paperboy would be fun. All right, look at all these ones. Team Encoder, there you go. Hopefully we can get you on pretty soon. December 1st, let's make it happen because next week is Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to be with their families. But the following week, let's do it, man. Well, we've been close to talking about Arcade1Ups and if they will last long term. 5 years in, let's hopefully revisit this video in a few years. And who knows if I'll be still making YouTube in 5 years from now. But I want to come back and eventually retrospectively talk to, hey B from 2022 November, when you were making this video, you had 14 Arcade1Ups, a Star Wars pinball machine, an At Games Legends pinball machine, an MVSX, and several mod cabinets. What do you still have 5 to 10 years from now? What is still in your collection at this point? What is the end game for you in this home arcade space? Do you still have all these cabinets in your house? Are they still working? What have you chosen to keep and what have you chosen to let go? I'm talking to you. Yeah, you, B, on YouTube, November 2022. So this is my time capsule video where I'm talking to myself and saying, what do you really love and what are you willing to let go? And did these arcades even survive the test of time? Let's find out and see where you're at 5 to 10 years from now. All right, that was really awkward. 50 more years. That was really fun. So I'm going to snap that and see what that looks like in a few. Maybe each year I'll just do that video and see where it's at. You personally believe Arcade1Up should be in a rush to cram in new licenses? Yeah. The real smile bit says, not sure about T2, but if Mystery Encoder is working on something to add more games, you may get the one that goes on sale. We're going to try to get Mystery Encoder on here to give updates pretty soon. Will they last? I think community will continue to support them from every angle in terms of the product itself. Great stuff. Track and field, definitely. That was smooth. I think it was really awkward talking to myself. I don't know if I'm going to do that again, but we'll check it out in a year from now. Well, anyways, I appreciate everybody that's been here for the last hour, checking out the show, talking to me about this topic. And let me know if you're watching this on replay, if you have any feedback for the comments on Arcade1Up longevity, any other hardware arcade longevity. Let me know if you like the music in the background. Let me end the final poll. The final poll, let's end this with 64 votes. We have the final poll results here. I always forget to do this. My final poll results with 66 votes. 43% say T2, 21% say Pinball, and 21% say Outrun, and then 30% Simpsons. So Team Encoder, screw the Simpsons cabinet. You got T2, Pinball version 4 updates. A lot of people on my channel love the Pinball mod, so they love to see what's happening officially from Team Encoder there. And get the Rad Mystery out there. I think people have been waiting for, racing updates from Rad Mystery. I think that would be really fun. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to redirect everybody to Game Time right now. Check them out on the Tech Buzz channel, and we'll see you next time. Have a great evening, everybody.